Good morning once again if you're tuning in. This is Good Mornings Kenya still. This on our interactive segment this morning, we're talking about regulation of SACCOs. And it has come out clearly that we use the term SACCOs and cooperatives interchangeably. Now, my guest here in studio is none other than the CEO of SACCO, and that is a regulator of savings societies, what we refer to as SACCOs, John Mwaka. He's on your he's on my left, but he's on your right on the screen, as well as the lead economist, that is Masinde Mungale. Karibu sana kwa show. He is on my right, but on your left on the screen. Gentlemen, before we took a short break, we were talking about challenges that are faced from by the regulator, as well as to the performance of the SACCOs for the year ending 2020. As John Mwaka was speaking off the cuff and off camera, the issue of understanding what makes a SACCO and what is a cooperative. Maybe you can just tell us, we can start off from that point. Let's unpack SACCOs vis-a-vis cooperatives. Mwaka.
Thank you very much. Cooperatives. All SACCOs are cooperatives, but not all cooperatives are SACCOs. Let me begin by that.
Take that again. I think you need to take that again.
Yeah, all SACCOs are cooperatives, but not all cooperatives are SACCOs. And there are two broad categories of cooperatives in our country. We have what we call financial cooperatives, and then we have what we call non-financial cooperatives. Now, let me begin by explaining what non-financial cooperatives are. Non-financial cooperatives are cooperatives that are basically geared towards marketing farm produce, but the payment bit is done by the SACCO. A SACCO is an acronym of Savings and Credit Cooperative Society. Now, if I were to use a SACCO example and a non-SACCO example, I will use, let's use Githunguri Dairy Cooperative Society Limited, which produces fresher milk. So they are a cooperative. They are called Githunguri Dairy Cooperative Society. But their business is basically to process and market milk. And then their SACCO does the payment. So they've got a SACCO called Githunguri Dairy SACCO. So that SACCO normally will do the payment for the farmers. We have fishermen cooperatives, we have livestock cooperatives and other cooperatives. So these are non-financial. Now when we come to financial cooperatives, again, there are also three categories of financial cooperatives. We have got SACCOs, which are very popular in our country. SACCO standing for Savings and Credit Cooperatives. Then we have housing cooperatives. These are SACCOs, these are cooperatives that basically mobilize funds, buy plots for members, and they help them even develop those plots. Then we have what we call investment cooperatives. So the three, that is housing, SACCOs, and investment cooperatives, those are the financial cooperatives. Now, you've seen a lot of, there is a bit of a confusion in the market, and we are already addressing that together with NTSA and the Commissioner for Cooperatives, especially the transport cooperatives that have got those names. We have matatus that when you look at their body, the bodies of those matatus are written SACCOs. But basically, they manage routes. These are transport cooperatives, and we are working to ensure, of course, that confusion is dealt with. However, within the SACCO industry, again, we have those that are regulated and those that are not yet regulated by the authority, that is SASRA. The smaller ones, that is 100 million shillings and below, are regulated by the Commissioner for Cooperatives. And so any complaint should be forwarded to the Commissioner of Cooperatives. However, Commissioner of Cooperatives sits in the board of directors of SASRA, and so we also share this information. That becomes critical for members of public to be able to understand. And I would encourage them at this juncture that you should be able to join a SACCO that is regulated. Kindly ensure that even as before you join, you can see the registration certificate. Don't just be given some words and there's no registration certificate, and you end up joining an outfit that has no governance structure in place, they have no meetings, and there is a one-man show. Actually, when you see a one-man show, that this SACCO does not hold meetings, then you are in for a problem. kindly inquire with us and the Commission of Cooperatives, and we shall be able to direct you appropriately. Absolutely.
Members to join outfits that are regulated, a one-man show is a red flag in as far as, you know, just trying to join a SACCO. And thank you for that clarification, because we have seen what you have now enlightened us about transport cooperatives, what we refer as matatu SACCOs. We have found them, they have found themselves on the wrong side of the law, and we all call them SACCOs. I hope that is going to be put to rest soon, so that we can have clarity in as far as what makes this cooperative a cooperative, and why is this a SACCO, and who regulates it. Now, Mr. Masinda, the issue of governance and leadership in as far as SACCOs are concerned, from an economist point of view, correlation in performance of SACCOs, is there a correlation?
Thank you very much. When you talk about governance is a very essential tool in terms of business sustainability, and making sure that it works. So when you talk about encouraging SACCOs to have what you call outline, well-put leadership, when you have people who have been well-trained, well-managed, and they have some very good skills in terms of managing process, then it also gives confidence to the stakeholders that we are investing in processes where our resources are safe, where we are going to get our returns out of our investments. So we also want to encourage that all the leaderships within the SACCOs are the way the CEO has said within the regulation, that we get people who are well prepared in terms of governance, people who have ethics background, people who have got integrity in terms of managing people resources. So we encourage this, and for us to support this, we want to call for what we call continuous training, building skills, building knowledge along the issues that will make sure that there's resilience, there's capability in terms of service delivery, and then even including the key stakeholders in terms of decisions. So leadership plays a very crucial role in terms of sustaining this movement, in terms of sustaining the SACCOs, so that at the end of the day, whatever resources that we have, we can be able to account for, we can be able to manage transparent processes, and then it also now encourages what we call the growth, because it also gives an avenue for inclusivity, where our members will be in a position to make sure that they are part of the process. So leadership is very, very core, and governance is core. It's an indicator of growth and sustainability.
Now, we've heard from our economist here in studio, that is Mr. Masinda there, Mr. Mwaka, saying that governance and leadership is key in as far as, you know, leading this SACCOs is concerned. From a regulator point of view, what role then do you play?
Our role is that of ensuring there is a level playing field, and of course ensuring there are repercussions for not following the rules that are supposed to be followed within that area. Now, there are sanctions that are supposed to be there. One of the things that we like talking about at the authority, even as we regulate these entities, is about integrity. And suppose this institution which you have been entrusted to run, were yours, assume it was your own enterprise, that you have put your own capital. Suppose the staff that you are putting there are messing up, and they are conducting activities that border on fraud and destruction of your enterprise. How would you feel? Is there a pain that you would feel? And would you take action against those that are involved in those activities that border on fraud? So these are the questions that I would want to pose to the leadership of the SACCO industry today as we speak. Do they feel pain when they are procuring an overpriced ICT system? Do they feel pain by renting a branch office that is overpriced? Because that again affects the bottom line in terms of returns to the members who have invested. And so when we talk of governance, we need to really unpack this governance and bring out issues of integrity, and knowing that you have been entrusted with these resources by people that have denied themselves to serve with an expectation of a return at the end of the day. And so for us to be able to enhance this, we have put in sanctions in form of, in terms of, the repercussions for activities that are conducted by members that are supposed to be the leaders. And as I mentioned earlier, we've teamed up with the 2 universities, of course, to enhance leadership and governance in this so that they can be able to understand. We want them to understand what a balance sheet is all about. They can be able to study financials and unpack and interpret them on behalf of their members. And so we conduct what we call fit and proper test to ensure that those that are coming in, we are men and women of integrity. We want to look at the CEOs that are being hired. We want the authority, the organization, the SACCOs must be able to submit the relevant forms to us to be able to evaluate and find out where are they coming from. Are they committed crimes in other areas? And that's why the fraud unit that is with us is very critical in helping us deal with these matters. And so leadership, everything rises and falls on leadership, as one of the authors has said. If there is poor leadership, then even the results, financial results, are going to be poor. The members are going to complain. But where there is good leadership and they listen to the complaints of the members, then even the returns are much better. Absolutely. Now, talking about the repercussions, you've mentioned sanctions on this would-be unscrupulous SACCO leaders. Now, in your term and tenure, how many have been actually sanctioned? And if these sanctions, are they on individuals, or does the whole SACCO now bear responsibility when you talk about repercussions? Demystify that. Absolutely. The repercussions are that the regulations that we implement and the acts that we are implementing gives us power and authority to remove leaders from office if they have been incriminated. And as we speak right now, of course, we've got numerous court cases. We've removed CEOs, we removed principal officers, we removed the directors, because they are supposed to be able to run these institutions as per their own bylaws and their own internal policies that they have made to govern their activities. And so that is basically what we do. And it is critical for them to understand we are not relenting on this. If you have been entrusted as a chairman of the board, as a secretary, as treasurer, as directors of a SACCO, and you mess it up, definitely we will come for you, we will remove you, and we will take you to court. We don't shy away from going to court. At any given time, we have numerous court cases in Coast, in the Rift Valley, Central, Nairobi, all over the place. And we would want to really pass this message to SACCO leaders that they should be able to do what they are expected to do in terms of ensuring there is proper return of investment by their members. There is fairness in the way they hire staff. We don't expect them to hire their relatives unless, of course, they've gone through the necessary processes just like anybody. And if, for instance, they are hiring people that are related to them, we want to see them recasting themselves from the interview panels and things like that. So these are the issues that we are looking at when we visit these SACCOs to ensure that fairness in terms of hiring, in terms of procurement of issues that they need to procure, and so that at the end of the day, there is a proper return to members who have invested in those SACCOs. Mr. Mwaka, you've talked about issues of transparency as well as information sharing. For a member who is probably watching this program this morning and they have an issue, they have information on, some undercutting deals here and there that are not proper, the issue, the integrity question that you have put across, how then would they reach the regulator to share this information? What's the system of reporting? Well, we've got a very dynamic website. They can be able to download that form and fill the form, the complaints that they have, and submit to us. They can write to info@sasra.go.ke. They can write at CEO Sasra at sasra.go.ke, and we are able to receive that information and process it. They can walk to our offices, which are located in Upper Hill on UAP Towers, 18th floor. There is a public office. Let them bring their complaints. We will listen to them. We will deal with it as it is required by the law. And so they can also call the Commissioner for Cooperatives, who will again be able to deal with that. They are at NSSF, 79th floor. And so these are locations where we are located. But our numbers are actually in our website. They can be able to visit that and call us.
What of anonymity? Because, you know, issues of monies are quite emotive. Anonymity for whistleblowers, has this been taken into account in this system of, you know, complaints and, you know, while you're doing investigations and there on such?
We have a whistleblower policy, and we never disclose our sources. As I told you, we work very closely with the investigative arms of government, and so information that we receive is very sensitive. Every staff member who interacts with the SACCOs, they have signed a code of confidence that they don't disclose, that we don't disclose, and that can earn you a separation or a sacking if you are able, if you disclose this information. So we have whistleblower policy in place, and so they should not be worried. In fact, they should even get in touch with the CEO direct to deal with those matters.
Well, there you have it. That is the CEO of SASRA there telling that it's an open policy, and they also have a whistleblower policy at SASRA. So if you have that information, that may lead to just streamlining of the SACCO that you're in. You know, as you've talked, we've already mentioned that governance and leadership is very keen as far as output and customer satisfaction is concerned. In this case, member satisfaction. Now, as we come to a close, we want to now put matters into perspective, the role that SACCOs play within the financial sector. I throw it back to you, Mr. Masinde, as an economist point of view. And also, you can also go further and tell us the projections for the SACCO sector, or the SACCO industry, going forward into 2021. To you, Mr. Masinde.
Thank you very much for that. As I mentioned earlier, I say that SACCOs are very, very important in this country. They play a very crucial role in terms of supporting our financial systems. And one of the key areas the SACCOs support today, the SACCOs have given a lot of freedom and support on what we call free enterprise systems. SACCOs have been able to activate our markets in terms of business production, in terms of outreach. The SACCOs are very, very key in terms of stimulating and creating what we call employment opportunities, job creation, particularly the young people and people in the rural populations. The SACCOs have been very, very active, and the SACCOs today we are seeing in this country, they are working very well. They're supporting what we call the value chains across various sectors in terms of what is working, what is not working. And you've even seen the SACCOs have played a very crucial role in terms of financial inclusion, and it has just been said by the director. Amid these COVID-19, we've realized that the SACCOs have been able to sustain our economy, even the gains that we've had in terms of building the resilience, despite the challenges that we've seen of the crisis on the issues of what we call supply chain between the producers, the consumers, and the entire distributorship chain. So the SACCOs are very, very important. Moving forward, we want to see SACCOs that are well managed in terms of governance issues that you said. We also want to see SACCOs adopt other emerging opportunities like technology. They'll have to invest in technology to make sure that they simplify processes. They must build frameworks that will support what we call sustainability. They must create outreaches that will create programs related to financial inclusion, targeting either women, youth, rural populations. For those who have not been able to be reached, we must create what we call strong outreach programs. We must also create what we call key programs that will come up with what we call innovative packages that will come out of what we call the fintech, the emerging of financial technology. And then the other role that the SACCOs must also play very role in partnership with other stakeholders, investing in some of the key programs that are emerging. They have a very, very clear role. And today, as a chamber, we play a very crucial role. We play what we call the role of economic diplomacy today as a chamber, and one of our functions is to make sure that we provide business development services across all the businesses. We have a very clear role of economic diplomacy. That means we can support what we call the foreign commercial interests. We'll be able to support SACCOs to create strategic partnership with other people across the board, out of the country, invest in clear programs. So the SACCO movement is a movement that has all that promise to this country. We'll only call upon the government through key agencies like the regulator and the others, just to make sure that they broaden their functions, they support the key stakeholders in the SACCO movement, And they also try to attract the external investment in terms of putting what we call additional resources like finances to support the SACCOs, also to improve their basis, so that whenever they want to lend, whenever they want to invest in key programs, they can do that. So we have a very, very promising movement. I'll want to request the director to give us a projection of what the SACCO will give from the perspective of what they have seen this year from their performance, and what is their projection towards next year or this year. And putting in mind that today as an economy, we are putting all the efforts to make sure that we are working towards the recovery of the economy and the bouncing back, because there are many other sectors that have been affected, and that we are working through 3 issues. How do we protect jobs? How do we create a sustainable market? And then how do you also support the issues of supply chain? So SACCO as one of the key parts of the economy, they play a very crucial role, and then maybe can also just give us a perspective of what is the contribution and the kind of the projection that the SACCO can contribute towards the entire holistic movement of the country, support towards bouncing back of this economy out of this situation, post-COVID.
Well, Masinda, there you've just taken those words out of my mouth, because that's what I wanted Mr. Mwaka to address, and also just elaborate. You had mentioned about the World Bank program. Targeting SMEs. So we'd want to understand how different this support is, unlike the other support that we get from the local banks, as you answer those myriad of questions that Mr. Masinda here, who is sitting in as an economist, has in as far as SACCOs are concerned.
Thank you very much. I think the most important item that I want to begin with in terms of the role of cooperatives in economic development is that of smoothing consumption or shocks. In survey that is always conducted every 5 years by FinAccess Kenya, by FSD Kenya, in conjunction with Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, together with the Central Bank of Kenya, and this year they have included SASRA to be part of that process, is that the first stop for what we call consumption loans or household loans, it is actually the SACCOs. It's number one. It's not even the other financial sector, that is the commercial banking. And it's very easy for you and I to walk into a SACCO and borrow a loan for consumption, for Medicare, for education, and so forth and so forth. Because the model that SACCOs have adopted is based on the way the SACCO is formed. And let me explain this a little bit further. Is that the SACCO is owned and actually patronized by the owners. So it's just within, and they are the leaders, they are the managers, they are the customers, and they are everything within. So they are within, they are self-contained, they don't deal with the walk-in, walk-out public out there. And so it's easier for you to be able to talk with the CEO of a SACCO and the member to be able to get a loan. And so the first thing that the role of cooperatives play is that of ensuring that they smooth shocks when members are able to borrow easily, and it helps them actually mitigate shocks. Like, for example, during COVID-19, there were a lot of activities that went in towards supporting our members. Second is that there is a lot of wealth creation. Majority of Kenyans today, they hardly have any savings that last for a whole year, say in a commercial banking outfit. What they do is that they bank in the SACCO, and then they borrow that money and go and buy a property somewhere and develop incrementally. And so in terms of wealth creation, SACCOs have played a very key role in helping our people. Second, of course, the other item is about financing education. We conducted a survey in 2019, and 36.5% of the loans that SACCOs borrow actually go towards financing education and healthcare. So you can see how important that are in terms of even what we call job creation. Currently, of course, the SACCOs that we are regulating, they have employed slightly over 10,000 people, and we didn't see any layoffs except during the COVID pandemic that we've gone through.
Now, sir, because we're winding up, I just want you, in a nutshell, in the briefest way possible, prospects of 2021, as we're talking about prospects of post-COVID for the SACCO industry.
The SACCO industry remains very resilient. And you remember I just mentioned to you that in 2020 we closed at 617 billion terms of total assets. We are expecting in every 4 years, we always double our asset base. So we expect that in the coming 4 years, we're going to move from 620 billion to a trillion plus. So we expect growth. We expect SACCOs to be the alternative financing for MSMEs in our country. We expect them to continue playing their key role of financing education, Medicare, and the SMEs in the coming years and months.
Very well said. That is the CEO of SASRA, that is Mr. John Mwaka, who was taking us through this conversation this morning, accompanied by a lead economist, that is Masinda Mungale, just putting into perspective matters of SACCOs and the regulation as well as the role they play within the financial sector. Borrowing heavily from what Mr. Mwaka has said is that the SACCO industry is quite important in the financial sector, and going forward, they are very expectant and upbeat that in the next 4 years, they're going to double their asset base that right now is at around 620 billion. So if we look at that, we'll be slightly over a trillion shillings going forward into the next 4 years. Medicare, as well as matters of investment at their forefront. Thank you very much for your time. I've been your host, Regina Manyara. Let's meet tomorrow, same time, for comprehensive news coverage as well as what is trending.